Hola a todos. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us today on St. Patrick's Day. I hope you're home celebrating. We certainly have this whole weekend. I had Stacy work on some yummy treats. She decided to be a baker, apparently. We've been watching these shows on Netflix, and she's been baking all day. That's my as much as of homeschooling that I've been doing. She's just doing baking and like Jello and slime, and we've been watching lots of TV, reading books, but mostly just lounging around. So I hope everybody's home safe and hopefully we can all get through this together. So today I have a very awesome treat for you all because my friend is going to be joining us. Her name is Christina Lopez, and if you already saw the blog post about her, you'll know that she is a seasoned homeschooling mommy. She has three kiddos, and she's really good at what she's doing with her kids, homeschooling them and everything. Because I've only had a taste of it for like what 3 days, 4 days, and I need help. I need guidance. We have no structure, even though I wanted to. I had like everything set up. It's like not working out. So I'm really excited to talk to Christina today, and I hope you are too. So we get our notebook ready so we can take the notes. She's going to share with us all the tips and tricks, and I'm so excited to introduce you to her. Christina, we're going to go ahead and show her in the stream. All right. Hola.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Really excited for our chat today. I think it's really important, right? Especially right now when all of us mommies are like faced with having to homeschool and not knowing what to do. So thank you for agreeing to chat with me.
Of course.
Yes.
Any way I could help.
Thank you. So I would love to start. Well, first of all, if you don't know, Christina is Cuban Colombian. That's
American.
yes, she speaks Spanish, but today's live will be in English. But if you do have questions, go ahead and comment, and we'll be reading the comments and answering all the questions at the end, or even after if you're watching this as a recording. No worries. Go ahead and comment. I'll be monitoring, and we'll make sure that Christina gets all the questions. And of course, on the blog post, I'll share all of her links so you can still keep in touch with her and ask her all the questions. So Christina, I would love to start with asking you how or what made you decide that homeschooling was the best option for your kids, and how long ago was that?
I've been homeschooling for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even realize it was that long until I had to add with my fingers. It's been 5 years. I started with my middle son because actually my oldest was in public school for 4 years. He was in public school for 4 years. But I always knew I wanted to homeschool. It was just something inside that I always wanted to be the one to teach my kids. I wanted the flexibility. I'm a huge believer in a lot of family time, and I felt with all the homework and everything going on, and my kids in sports, it was taken away from that. That's not the only reason. I have a lot of other reasons, but I just had something like I always wanted to do it, but I didn't have the support until I had the support. And then I decided to just try it out with my middle son while my other son was in public school, but it was preschool. And I said, you know what? If it's not for me, then I'll just put him in kindergarten. And I fell in love with it. I loved it. It was hard. It was hard in the beginning, but I feel like there's a lot of more positive than negative in my opinion. In the
Okay.
beginning, though, it's tough. It is. I get it.
So you started off with your oldest still being in school and being
Yeah.
able to compare how that was with homeschooling your
Yeah.
middle child, and now all three are being homeschooled by you, correct?
Yeah. I mean, the little one is 3, so
Okay.
he gets probably the least, but he wants to learn. He tells me it's school
Aw.
time. So he wants to learn because he sees the other two, but his isn't as structured, or I don't have like we got to learn this. I mean, he knows his alphabet, he knows his colors. Oh, there he comes. You did not come in all day. Sorry guys if you see a little one right here. The little one just came in. I think his ears were ringing. But I teach him every day, but I have more focus obviously on the older ones. But so yeah, but I want to say a full time homeschool. Say hi. I
Hi.
full-time homeschooled two of them, and then him, I would want to say part-time, but he learns a lot.
So with him, it's more play-based, I
It's
imagine,
more
right?
play-based, but from my experience, they learned a lot. They learn a lot with play. That's how they first learn.
That's awesome. Now, were you like, what is your background? Were you a teacher? Hi. We all see you.
Okay, Zeke, okay. Um, no, I'm not a teacher. I did go to college, but I'm not a teacher. And I think that was in the beginning where there I had friends that wanted to homeschool, and they're like, "Well, I mean, I'm not a teacher. You're not a teacher, so
Mm,
how are you fit to teach?" And I look at it like we are our kids' first teachers.
yes, that's
We
true.
why are you makeup in your bathroom? Oh, because I was putting my makeup on. Oh, can you go downstairs and go watch something? Go ask Ela for candy. Go ask her. Okay,
That's
there
my
he's
favorite.
gone. He's gone.
Yeah, no worries. We're all,
Um,
we know
uh,
how it is.
so Zeke, I need to do this really quick. Sorry, he
No
wasn't
worries.
in here at all. I don't know what happened.
He heard you
He
calling.
yes. What was the last question? I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Actually, we can move on to what would be like, for example, a lot of us right now, we're kind
Mm-hmm.
of like Googling everything, trying to find resources, trying to figure out what to do, maybe like scheduling. Like, do you have an actual schedule? Like, is it a routine, a favorite app? Like, how do you go about structuring your days when you're homeschooling your kids?
So I have my own system, but every homeschooler is different and every kid is different. And I've learned that. And different kids learn differently. So there are some kids I feel that need structure. And like if they are used to a structure in school, then when they come home, which I actually have heard from a couple friends that message me and saying like, my kid is like, this is not how we do it in school, and then there's other kids who like they're happy and they don't want structure at all, and sometimes
Yes.
the structure isn't good for you. I have a lot of homeschool friends who their homeschool day looks completely different than mine. And it took me a while to be like okay with that. I kept trying to compare myself like, oh, maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe my kids aren't as smart as them, or why isn't my homeschool day as structured as them? Like, why don't we wake up at 8 a.m. and have breakfast and be at the table at 9? And because I have homeschool friends that they do structure, like they have a timeline. I don't. I tried it and it doesn't work for me.
I see.
But my kids have a checklist right now, and
Oh,
they're old
check.
enough to have a checklist. When they were in preschool, there's no way it could be a checklist. It was more play. We did a lot of more play, reading books, singing songs. We used YouTube a lot and learning apps like ABC Mouse and all those kind of learning apps.
Oh,
Um,
ABC Mouse, yes.
oh, my kids loved ABC Mouse until they grew out of it. Now the little one uses ABC Mouse. Um, but now that my middle son is 8 and my other is 11, I'm trying to teach them more responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and being able to get things done on their own. And I think that's like the misconception of, homeschoolers like, well, you're always like with them. How are they going to be in college? You're always with them, but you
Oh,
have
okay.
to teach them. See, there's my oldest.
Hi.
I
Talking
swear, I
about
don't know
you.
what it is. They were not here. They were
They're like, it's
downstairs. I
showtime.
know. Um, so now I give them a checklist, and this is just the way I do it. Is in the morning I have a little. It looks like a piece of paper, but it's actually a little whiteboard, but it has lines like if it's a piece of paper. And I put my two sons' names, and I give them what they're doing for science, whatever we're doing that day. Science. I have homeschool friends that don't do every subject every day, and I have homeschool friends that do. Like from one time they do English, and then like 9 to 10 it's English, then they take a break, and then they do history or whatever. I do a checklist, and they have workbooks, and I give them a
Oh,
deadline, and they're supposed to finish it by that deadline. And if they don't finish it by that deadline, there's consequences. That's the way I do
okay.
it.
And
But
what, where do you get the,
they're already 8 and 11. Can't do that with
yes.
a preschooler. I think with preschool it's just more fun and playtime. Like you just got to get creative. A lot of arts and craft. Even I would cut sponges in different shapes, and we would just and then they're teaching their shapes. You're teaching them their shapes. You're teaching them their colors. But it's more
That's
play. you know. um Watching, I mean, I'm gonna make a blog post on all, there's so many cool stuff on Netflix that's really educational, and on YouTube that are just educational, not Ryan's World, even though Ryan's World does have a,
Lately, lately he does.
yeah, lately he's been having like science experiments and stuff. But there are like the kids natural geographic YouTube channels. There's a lot, so I think I'm gonna do a I already have it set up, I just gotta type it up, of like YouTube educational channels, Netflix, websites. I mean, there's so many websites, and right now with the crisis there's so many websites that are giving free access right now, a lot.
Yes. So after our chat, I'll go ahead and share all of these links to her blog posts and all of these resources because, like Christina said, yes, there are a lot of wonderful companies out there that usually will charge like a monthly fee for these tools, and right now they're actually offering them free because they know we're in a crisis. And what do you do during these hard times? You help each other, which is why we're here trying to share the knowledge. So thank you. So you did mention that you have workbooks for your kids. Um, are there any particular workbooks that you prefer over others that you've learned that are
My kids are in a charter school, so they still take to state testing. My kids
oh,
still take state testing. There's three ways to homeschool. I do charter, and then there's a way PSA where you do it on your own. It's like the old school homeschool way that you just teach on your own. I
uh-huh.
actually have a teacher I meet with once a month, but they do
Oh,
state testing. So for
okay.
vocabulary, I love Wordly Wise. That's what it's called, Wordly Wise.
Okay.
And I'll probably do even a post something maybe on my social media on what I'm using, But
Okay.
Wordly Wise for vocabulary, I love it. It just has different lessons. It's each lesson has about 10 to 20 words, and they just explain it in a way where they get it, and then they have these activities that just by the time you're done they understand the word completely.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay,
And
so
so that's for vocabulary. For science, my kids are hands-on learners, so we do a lot of science experiments. We don't even use an actual
fun.
curriculum. We pull a lot. I'm old school, so we love Bill. I love Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Love him. My favorite.
So I pull a lot of videos online, and then we do a lot of science experiments. But my kid, especially my middle son, he's a
Mhm.
hands-on learner, and that's one reason why I knew a classroom setting wasn't for him.
Okay.
He
Because
can't
of
sit
his
in a
learning style.
classroom all day. He can't. It just he learns more just using his hands, more.
And then, I mean, I know right now it doesn't apply because we're all semi-quarantine. But before, how did you go about making sure that, that they were socializing, that they had interactions with other kids and weren't just cooped up at home, being homeschooled? Like what
Um.
some of us maybe imagine homeschooling is like.
Mhm,
It's like, oh my
mhm.
God, they're never.
Oh yeah.
uh, I know
Um.
you guys are active because I follow your YouTube
Mhm,
videos, which are
mhm.
super cool. Everybody needs to follow her channel and your Instagram. But I mean, if you can share with some of us that maybe don't really have a clear understanding of what homeschooling can be like.
Well, now homeschooling is completely different than what it was in the 90s. In the 90s, I actually wanted to be homeschooled because I was in a, I was a kid that just would rather
Whoa.
be home playing. But there was one kid across the street that was homeschooled, but he was just home all day. Now, due to many different things, from political views to people that now travel a lot, to religious beliefs, to people not happy with school systems. There's just so many different ways that now the homeschooling community is huge, especially, well, not even especially in California, everywhere now.
Yes.
But so there's park days, and when you homeschool, a lot of times there's so many, especially on Facebook, a lot of Facebook groups where you join the Facebook group depending where you live. Like there's one in Long Beach, LA, Whittier, um, all over. Really, you find join the and people put together park days at least once, twice a week. So the moms literally just sit under a tree and the kids just play. And the cool thing is the kids are all ages, so you'll see a 5-year-old playing with a 10-year-old like nothing. But it's because homeschoolers are so used to being around all ages.
Their
And a lot of
siblings.
times when people tell me like, well, how do you socialize your kids? I remind them, yes, Zeke. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, tell your brother to help you. Go help. Ask him. Um. So I asked them this. Whenever you worked, I know there's sometimes everybody. Some people are stay-at-home moms, but there was one time that most of us worked. When did you work in a location where everybody was the same age?
Never.
Yeah. So when I do take my kids to, and that's another thing is I take my kids to classes. There's homeschool classes everywhere. So like
Yeah.
a lot of times either teachers that have retired or teachers that just aren't in the school system or even moms that are just passionate at certain subjects will put a class together and other homeschoolers will come. So they could be like 5 to 20 homeschoolers. So my kids regularly,
Neat.
obviously not right now, but
No.
regularly on Fridays, they have a history and science class. That's at a location in a classroom, sitting down like a regular classroom, but it's once a week. They are also in sports. We do park days, and then in homeschooling, a lot of times, like in public school, due to funding, they could only do like 1 to 2 field trips a day, a year
A
sometimes.
year. Yes.
If they get lucky, more, but from what
Yeah.
I remember, it was like 1 or 2 a year. Well, with homeschooling, sometimes homeschool moms, charter schools, or just like if I wanted to put a field trip, I could put a field trip to like LA Zoo, let's say, and if we get a certain amount of kids, and it's because we're homeschoolers, sometimes they'll let us go for free or a group rate or whatever, and we do field trips weekly. So that's like the main thing is we do a lot of field trips weekly.
I
So
see.
my kids are around kids, I want to say 4 to 5 times a week
That's
on
great.
on a regular, obviously not what's going on right now, but on a regular week.
Mhm.
So they are very socialized, and it's from what my middle son says, because I always tell them, if you ever wanted to, because my middle son's never been in public school ever, or in any not daycare, preschool, nothing. And I always tell him if you wanted to try it, but he says that he has so many friends everywhere and he doesn't want to have the same friends in one class. He loves having
Oh,
friends
funny.
everywhere. Because when we have our park day, he has his friends there, and then when we have our science and history class, they have. So I feel like my kids have so many different friends from different activities. Like
Hmm.
their sports friends and their science class and history friends and our park day friends, and then we have friends that we always go to field trips. And
That's
so,
awesome.
but I would say it takes maybe not a lot. It takes a little bit of time to develop. You have to get into the communities. It could be easy to be isolated. It could be easy to do it.
Okay.
Because of
When you're
course,
homeschooled.
if you just throw workbooks or just sit around the table and just stay home all day, then yeah, I get it. Unless your kid has about 10 siblings, that they play with, but if you
No,
go out and go to the park days and go into the communities and meet other homeschool families, then they could be easily socialized.
I see. So, I have a challenge for you. Let's see.
Okay.
Can you give us like your five top tips to share with us? Um, for moms who are just trying to figure out again like this whole homeschooling situation, because I think I shared it with you before where
Mm-hmm.
like it's only been since Friday. My daughter's home all day and she's only in preschool, so yes, I get it, it's more play based, but I did try having some sort of a structure, like or like just okay, we probably should learn more numbers now, or and I don't we don't really like we start and then we don't really follow through, and I feel like maybe there I'm missing something. Like is there like what are your five tips to say like, look, don't do this, but like these are the things that I would recommend if you're starting off. If you went back to think about when you started, like what would have been helpful if
Mm-hmm.
somebody would have shared with you through this journey?
Well, one is don't stress. Stop stressing and stop thinking that they're not learning or I'm not doing enough or oh my god, like we only sang one ABC song once and did that and that's it. Maybe that's all she needed that day. One thing I would say is in the beginning, I tried to do the structure and I started to become like that mean teacher. Like, no, you guys are gonna do it now. And I realized that um when they shut down, that's it.
Yeah.
They shut down. So we would
It's
take breaks.
frustrating.
So we took a break and we said,
Okay.
you know what? Let's play a game. So I have here educational games, and maybe I can share those too. I
Yes.
we do a lot of hangman with spelling, like old
Oh,
school hangman. We do. I have bingo, but I just incorporate it with learning, not just regular bingo.
uh-huh.
So sometimes I'll just like take a break if they just are off. Then, and this is mainly when they're younger.
Right.
But you know what? Thinking about it, when I first pulled my son out of third grade, he was the same way, and he was in third grade because they're just not used to it. They're used to the teacher and your mom. So in the beginning,
Right.
they're not gonna want to. So just try it a little bit, and if you just see you're getting frustrated, they're getting frustrated, it's time to take a break. It's time to go have a snack, watch a YouTube video, or put on Disney Plus, something really quick, and then go back to it a little later. And in the beginning, it might be hard. The first I honestly don't think that schools are going to be out just for 2 weeks, in my opinion, because of everything's going
Yeah.
on.
I don't think
So
so
I
either.
think parents right now have so much pressure thinking these 2 weeks they have to be so productive. And if they're not, their kids are going to be so behind. And you got to think that you're doing one-on-one. This is a
Yeah.
lot of time is wasted in classrooms, and I'm not saying that to be negative. I just was volunteering a lot because if we're doing math, then Johnny over there is disrupting, and I'm the teacher and I got to discipline him. And then we're doing a
Mhm.
math lesson, and then I'm asking all the kids to raise their hand, and then I'm listening to all, and correcting them. So if I'm one-on-one, I'm cutting all that. So really, how much you can get done in an hour is probably what's done in a couple hours in a classroom.
It's true.
So if you even get an
Mhm.
hour, 30 minutes. I have a friend who homeschools. She's been homeschooling. She has five. She homeschools five kids, and with her, I think now kindergartner, she does 45 minutes a day every day. That's it.
That's it. And the
And
rest
her
is
daughter's
playtime.
very bright. Her daughter knows her ABCs, her colors, and everything, but it's because it's one on one. During that time, her older kids are doing their own work. So it's one on one. So, as much as they could get one on one with no distractions, is like a lot. It's like
Gold.
could be
It's golden.
hours. Yeah. And
That's a good
without
point.
the tip two I would give is if you have little kids, you got to distract them while you're teaching the older ones because you're going to have them like mommy this and mommy that. With the youngest, we have a
Hmm.
whiteboard, so I tell him to go draw me a picture of anything he wants or a dragon, and he goes on the whiteboard. While he's doing that, I'm explaining, or most of my kids do their stuff on their own, but there's sometimes projects we do together. So as he's doing that, I have to distract him. So Legos and even YouTube, I put him. Sometimes I have to put him in front of a TV for an hour just so I can get that hour with the older two. Because if you have little ones, you have to distract them. Otherwise, they're not gonna let you teach the older ones.